So recently, Sean Baker won the Best Director at the Independent Spirit Awards for his film Honora. And regardless if you like the movie, don't like the movie, if you like Sean Baker or not Sean Baker, I wanted to give my thoughts on his speech specifically, which basically talked about the current scene of independent filmmaking. And I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it. He calls himself an indie film lifer, which that's what he wants to make, is independent movies. So much of his speech I completely agreed with. And because the overall sentiment was that the current state of filmmaking and the movie industry as a business is not sustainable for artists. And I don't disagree with that, because you look at so much of, and he mentions this in his speech, and I took notes so I can not forget these things that I want to talk about, which was, he wants to make movies that he can have the artistic freedom to do what he wants to do, which is the subject matter, the casting, and he doesn't have to worry about casting who's going to make the most money or make the money back on the movie, or who has got the most Instagram followers. He wants to cast the right actor or actress for his project to tell that story, who represents that character the best, which is how movies should be made. Movies should have the correct actor representing that character. In that speech, he mentions the death of the DVD sales, and that DVD sales are essentially non-existent anymore, and that was how a lot of independent movies were able to recoup their costs outside of box office. That they might just make their money in the box office, but then DVD sales would actually make the movie profitable. And now with the whole rise and the kind of kingdom of streaming platforms, that second sale, that second life independent movies had, is essentially dead now, because DVDs, Blu-rays pretty much don't exist anymore. Another thing he talked about was it takes 3 years to make a film. This is where, for myself, I kind of have my own objection to it, is I believe films need to be made a lot faster. I believe that films shouldn't take 3 years to make. That if people actually, there are so many things that could get streamlined in making a movie, and that's just my opinion. Now, I haven't made a feature film, but recently I made 13 short films in 3 months. I know how fast you can move, and these were all made with no budget, just myself and my wife. If you have an entire team with you, you can, and it's correctly organized, you can be moving so quickly and actually be making these movies. Now, we'll see once I get into making feature films myself, how fast I can get them done, but I believe that 3-year timeline to make a movie should be made a lot faster. All of this goes hand in hand with a big sentiment that goes on right now in the discussion of the film industry, is this death of the low budget film. I should say, or this mid-budget film, however you want to call it, but basically that $1 to $10 million, that upwards of maybe $20 million film that used to get made, doesn't really exist anymore. These studios and even now the streaming platforms are going heavy on, obviously, series, which is a very big thing, because they can make their money back more because they get people hooked on the series, and so they're going to want to stay with it rather than just a film. They can get 10 episodes, 20 episodes, 5 episodes of a series, but then multiple seasons of it, so people want to stay on the platform and keep paying every monthly due. But where there's no more movies, it's a rarity to see movies made between that $1 and $15 million range. And I forget exactly, there was an interview that I saw, I forget who was saying it, but where you can make 10 $10 million movies for the same price as one $100 million movie, but then you have 10 at-bats to make $100 million rather than, you need this one movie to go all in and make your $100 million back on the movie. And it's an interesting play to see how the film industry is moving. And I think there's going to be a new resurgence eventually of that kind of low mid-tier budgets of this $1 to $10 million movie range that, people will enjoy. But I think scripts need to be written in that price range now. One of the concurring stories that are going on at the same time is the director of The Brutalist coming out with this big award push for it is that he's made no money on the movie. Basically, what he got paid with all of the press he's now doing, with all of the different festival runs and all of the subsequent award season runs, all of that touring he's paying for out of pocket. The studio's not paying for it. Nobody's paying for it except for him. So essentially, he's now net negative on the film because everything he's made on it doesn't go to supporting him anymore or making the next thing. It is literally going to pay to promote the movie he just made. Now, he's also, by doing that, he's turning down jobs and he's not taking on new work. So there's an aspect of it being unsustainable. If you're doing press for this movie and marketing, it's not getting paid for it. So it's a weird situation that films, and specifically independent, lower budget films, are being put into, and what artists are having to deal with. And finally, Sean Baker talks about the unsustainability of this. I agree, is that the future of filmmaking needs to pivot in a way to make it sustainable for filmmakers and the cast and crew. You know, the thousands of people that are employed because of film to continue to make more movies. And I think there's definitely going to be some very interesting pivots as the streamers get more and more saturated, and as box office tries to figure out what they're doing with theatrical releases. You look at sitcoms are not really being made anymore like they used to be. So the entire entertainment industry of film and television is going through a really interesting shift, and I think there's going to be a big correction coming in the next 5 to 10 years. Because, let's be honest, you survey anybody of this younger generation, and most of them will either be watching their content not from movies or streamers, but on YouTube or Twitch. They're watching YouTubers, they're watching live streamers, and they prefer to watch that over there. So I think there's going to be a big correction and a big kind of shift in the modern entertainment space over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Something to definitely be thinking about. So one of the things that I'm doing is definitely making sure that I play the game of social media and I play the game of YouTube, so that I can be that person that has the Instagram following, so that I can make movies. I think the way that filmmakers are really going to have to win in this correction is ultimately to take more responsibility. Is that they're going to have to be more intelligent in how they're going to make movies, but also they themselves are going to have to become influencers. They themselves are going to have to look at, all right, if I can make a movie for a lower price, but I can self-distribute it myself, and I don't even need to there, and I can go direct to fans. There's so many opportunities on the horizon, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it all unfolds and how it all shakes out. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this, and you know, it's going to be an interesting debate, because I myself am a purist and would love the art form of movie making on theaters, but I am also trying to not reject where modern trends are going with social media, self-distribution on YouTube, etc.